Hello everyone, this is Betsy from Ideas Times 2. Today I have a tutorial working on our lap book again, the Mermaid Lapbook, and today we're going to do the window page. And so let me show you what that looks like. I put this in the place, if you've been following along, I put this in the place where I had originally put the trifold and then removed it. So this is what I substituted this window page. So you can see here, if you've been following, I had a gluey mess right here, so I had to cover it up with a piece of paper. So I just cut a strip of the decorator paper and glued it right on. So anyway, we'll be adding this, and so you can see there is stitching around here, and inside of it I put a large journal tag card. So this is all collaged up. This is from the Voyage Beneath the Sea graphic 45 paper. Wanted to use that. It's so adorable. And then on the back I have a couple of pockets. So that just slips. It's on a very sturdy cardstock, plus all this collaging made it sturdy as well. And so anyway, that just slips right inside that window page. And now I'll show you how to make that. And then to install it, it just gets glued right onto the hinge. So you start out with a file folder. You need a sturdy paper, and file folder is pretty perfect for that. And you'll need some acetate sheets and just some miscellaneous, cutting and measuring tools and stuff like that. So just a few miscellaneous things. All right, so this file folder, this side is lower than this side. And so I am going to just slice off the fold. I'm going to slice off the fold to make this two separate pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It just makes it a lot easier for the window, and I like it. I think it looks good that way. So, and we'll give this a little trim. All right, and I already marked on here. Okay, so before I show you that, so what I usually do then is make these top edges even, which is why I cut that off. So I'm just going to make these even. And then I'm going to clip them together, because we're going to cut these together now. From now on, we'll just cut them together. Oops, let me get my binder clip ready before I commit here. All right, nice and straight, and then the binder clip. And we'll just use this paper clip because oh no, I keep dropping things. But I have another clip. Let me just grab that out. I'm dropping things left and right here today. Alright, so we'll get that out and clip that on. So now we have a pretty secure. We're going to treat this as one unit, because that way it'll save us cutting. Save us uneven edges and cutting differently. All the stuff. Alright, so to put this in the lap book that I have, the size that I have, I've already marked where I need to cut. So I'll be cutting from this end here, because this is the end we want to have this the top. So I'm going to cut this off. If you have different sized books, you will need to just figure out how tall you need your page. So I can't give you a specific measurement because everybody's got different books, but this is just to give you an idea of how to go ahead and make one of these. Okay, so nice and snug, and then cut that off. So now we have that the exact size we need. And then it's a little bit too long as well, and I did not mark that. So let me get my book out. And I'll measure this. If we have time today, we're going to go through how to make these flaps as well, but I'm not sure, but we'll see. Hopefully we can. But all this fussy stuff at the beginning here, I'm not sure if we'll have time. So I'm going to just hold this up to my other one that I've already made and mark it. So all I did as far as measuring this was just bring it down about 1/4 of an inch or on the top and on the bottom, and then that'll be the size that you need. Otherwise it's going to be too long and it'll stick out of your book. So we don't want that. Alright, I'm going to move my clip around a little bit to the other side and go ahead and give this a trim. Okay, now we're going to make the window. So I made my window. Oh, fact is, before we start though, my file folders are, I guess, on the cheap side. I'm not real sure, but when I make erase marks on here, it erases the color too. So what I'm going to do is just switch these, and this will be my inside color, and I'm just switching those out. So my markings will all be on the inside, and then I don't need to worry about erasing them. I learned that one the hard way. Also, since we cut off our nice little semi-rounded edge there, I'm just going to go ahead and give this sort of the same look and just trim it up like that. Alright, so my frame is about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to measure using my gridded ruler, which is super handy for this. I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch and draw a line. And I'm going to do that around all three sides first, and then I'll show you what we'll do at the bottom. So when you're measuring 3/4 of an inch on the top here, don't measure 3/4 from the very edge here. Measure it from the shortest edge, because otherwise, if you measure 3/4 of an inch here, then it's going to come like so close to that edge that it just won't be workable. You just won't be able to use it. So, okay, give this a measure here, 3/4 of an inch. And from this edge here, just trying to keep my file folders together. It won't be too important until we actually get cutting, but all right, like that. Okay, and now the bottom edge, of course, has to have a space for the hinge too. And I'm not gonna like tuck the hinge inside these two layers. I'm gonna actually just glue this directly on to the hinge, and but either way, if you choose to do it that other way, that is perfectly fine. But I found the acetate a little bit hard to work with in that regard. It kind of buckles easily. So I think the best way to keep it nice and flat and straight and all that is to actually glue this whole unit onto the hinge, but we'll come up to that after a little bit here. Okay, so this bottom, we need a 1/2 inch for the hinge and then 3/4 of an inch for the frame, and so we have 1.25 inches down here. So do that, okay, and then we need to cut. So I'm going to grab my cutting tools, just one second. Alright, I got my cutting tools, and I went ahead and did 3 of the edges. So let's do one together. So what I do, I have a cutting mat and a ruler and a craft knife. This is kind of like a box cutter style craft knife. But it doesn't matter. Some people are super good with their paper cutters, paper trimmers. You could do that, or your other favorite kind of method here, but this does work very well. Make sure to hold that ruler tightly, please. I don't want anybody to get hurt or cut. I think that would be so awful. So don't do that, but also hold it tight so you don't, your ruler doesn't shift and then you get crooked lines. So we don't want that either, but still, it's the cutting that worries me so much. I've had my fair share of cuts. But enough of that. All right, so just cut it. Make sure your pieces are clipped together so you have a, and save these. These are super nice for pockets. Really nice. So save those. So when I was cutting, I had to move my clips a couple times, but always just, you know, just shift them around just a little bit, and they should stay together just fine. All right, so now we've got, I think we're done with the clips. We'll take those off. And now we have 2 pieces of file folder with windows. Just like that. It all matches because we cut it together. Cut the pieces together. All right, so the next thing is to lay down. This light color is my inside. This light color is my inside. So we're going to lay down our acetate. And the way I do this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew around on the outside. I'm going to sew these together. I'm going to sew around the window and then around the outside edge, each piece separately, and then we'll glue them together after we're done. I don't need to cut this acetate a certain size, because what I'm going to do is, after I get this, what I'm going to do is attach these together, just like, sort of like baste them together, kind of, and so they don't shift, and then I'll just trim around. So there's no need to cut the acetate sheet at all ahead of time. All right, so the way I do this is to keep these from shifting. You know that acetate is pretty slippery. I will use just a few touches here and there of a very thin double-sided tape. Not thin, narrow double-sided tape. You don't want gobs of tape on here, because your sewing machine will not treat you well if you try to sew through the sticky tape. That will not work at all. So use this very sparingly and just put it in the center of your frame, in the center, meaning not close to the edges, so that your sewing machine needle does not come in contact with that. So I'm going to remove that acetate for a second, and just very sparingly, just enough to hold it down. That's all we're doing. Now, maybe somebody has, I don't trust my tape that much, but if you have a super strong double-sided tape that you use for things like this, or anything really, because I was thinking when you attach things onto the hinges of this book, it would be nice to have double-sided tape. But do you have a double-sided tape, what I'm trying to say, that you are very confident in, that holds things together? If you do, let me know in the comments below if you have a favorite kind of tape that's super strong. Okay, so I just pushed it down with my bone folder. Now I'm taking off the release paper. Just a few spots of this is good. Okay, taking off the paper. Then I'm going to bring my acetate back over here. Now I will, to save myself some cutting, I am going to try to line it up with 2 edges. And I sort of want it close to the edge, because I want to stitch it not only around the window, but I want to stitch it around the outside edge. And that way the edges of the acetate won't catch on things that are going to go in and out. At least that's my thinking on the matter. So now we have it attached nicely. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is, you don't have to watch me do this, so I'm going to turn off the camera. But you can see that I have, actually it fits really well side to side, but at the top here, I'm going to have to trim that, as you can see there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. I'm going to make my other window in the same way I just did on this one. I'm also going to stitch around. So I'll stitch around the frame part, and then I'll stitch around the outside edge on both of these, and then I'll come back and show you what to do next. Also, I should have inked the inside edges, which, I mean, is totally optional. And I will be inking the outside edge too, but before I put that window on, I probably should have inked this, but I think I can squeak a little inking on there before I sew it. And so I'm going to trim and sew, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I am back. So I sewed along the outside edge and around the window on both my sheets separately. All right, and then we're just gonna glue on all three, on the inside of all three edges, so the sides and the bottom. Leave the top free because it's a pocket. I'm using Fabrifix, which will have a good hold. And also wanted to show you too, one of the reasons why I like putting the acetate around on the whole thing is because now it's sewn all the way to the edge, the acetate. I just think it's a little bit more conducive to a pocket. It's even stitched up there, so there's no problem. Okay, so yakety yak, right? Now I need to glue. Oops, got a little glue string. Fortunately, glue strings on acetate come off very easily. All right. Sorry about the glare. There's lots of glare today. Okay, so we just made a pocket. If you make this small enough, it could clip onto a page. That would be awesome. But now we are actually, I'm going to show you how to glue it onto the hinge, but I don't think I need this in my book that I'm working on. This is just like an extra one. So I'm not going to actually glue it, but I'll show you how to glue it. Okay, so I'm gluing it on a hinge. Move those out of the way. Okay, so my hinges are here. I usually work these back and forth a bunch of times to sort of loosen them up a little bit. All right, so this I'm still pressing together just to make sure it's secure there. Now, like I said, I'm not going to actually do this because I've already got my window, although that looks really cool, doesn't it? That looks cool, except I wouldn't leave it as a window. I would put a pocket in it so you wouldn't be able to see this anyway, but it looks really cool. All right, so let me get the glare off there. So all I would do is put my glue on. You could put it on the hinge or you could put it on the paper. I think I would prefer to put just a bead of glue down here on the paper and then pick up your whole unit here and then just glue the hinge down onto it. Okay, and then you'll have to hold it for a minute or so until that glue grabs, and then, you know, keep smoothing it down, maybe just for a few minutes, not even just one, I would say a few minutes, and then it'll stick and then it will move. This glue is not dry yet. It will move, then you'll have your page that you can move back and forth like that. All right, so that's it. That's all I did on the other one. And now we have our window page. So that is it for that. And I'm going to check my time to see if we can go over any more elements here. I'll be back in just one second. All right, I do think we have time. I'm going to tack on to the end of this video how to make these floating pockets. So coming right up, stay tuned. Alright, so the next thing I wanted to do is complete this hinge unit. There were 2 hinges here, so we took care of the one, and now we're going to take care of the other one, and that sort of finishes this section of the book. So I think that'll be great. So what I'm making here is a floating pocket. So I have this one here already done, and then I'm going to make one here, and we'll do that one together so I can show you how to make that. And this is a pocket. Let me show you. It will have something in it. I don't have anything in there right now, but let's do it this way because you can see it better. So I'll make a tag, maybe have it stick out like that, and put some silk or something at the top and pull that out. So that'll be a floating pocket, and then I'll probably decorate this up just a little bit as well. But for now, I just want to show you how to make the pocket and then how to put it on the hinge so that it folds. It'll be separate, folding separately from this one. They won't have to fold together. All right, so I'm going to put this away for now. And this image will fit side by side to that other one and make a really nice, fun pocket as well. So we're going to work with this. And I made a wavy edge on that pocket. I don't know if you noticed that or not. I made a wavy edge. I thought it would be, just make it more interesting, give it some movement on the side. So actually, what I started doing here was making little marks. So, and then I discovered that's not the best way to go about this. So let me show you what I came up with here. I tried to find a ruler. I thought, well, maybe I had a ruler, and I do have an old-timey Creative Memories one, but these waves are so very, very deep that would never work on these smaller images. So I made a template and simply drew 2 lines. I marked increments of 1 inch and then just went in and out, making sure that each wave was fairly even. So that's all I did there. And so I took a pencil, I put this right up to the edge of my image on the back because I don't want to have to worry about those pencil marks, and then I just traced this edge and then turned it around and did the same thing over here. So I have some pencil marks along the edge. And next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this out. Just use a tiny scissors and take your time. Just go slowly. Certainly you don't have to make a wavy edge, but I thought it would be more interesting. And since it's sort of a sea themed, I thought that went pretty well. All right, didn't want to trim off too much of my pocket, but just a little bit off the edge. All right, then I am going to ink this edge. Make sure that's done. Make the edge stand out a little bit. I'll ink the bottom too. The bottom will show a little bit, so. Now there will be a notch in here, so I'll have to re-ink the top part a little bit, but for now we'll just go ahead and do it. Nice and dark. Alright, and then to make this stand out even a little bit more, I thought I would put a contrasting color behind it. And so I chose this peachy color here. Let me just cut this off. We don't need that. This Graphic 45 paper is very strong and sturdy, but I thought it would be helpful to have 3 layers of paper to make it a nice and sturdy, because it's going to be flipping a lot, and I thought it would be nice and sturdy, just a little bit sturdier than just the two, the two sheets that would be required for a pocket. So, plus I wanted a little contrast, so I thought it worked out well. So I am going to glue this peach color onto the back of this, and if you do it the same way, the contrasting color is going to stick out a little farther from the design paper. So I cut this a little bit bigger than this image. And I think it just helps to make the paper pop. So we've got a nice lighter color there. And then what I did was just a little ways, 1/8 of an inch or so away from this wave, just go ahead and cut out your contrasting paper. Just follow the wave. Real easy. And don't worry if it's not perfect. If it's not perfect, it'll just give it even a little bit more movement, which I think is nice. I think I got off a little bit on the other one. It doesn't bother me at all. Okay. And then I'm going to use my bigger scissors to cut off the straight edge at the top. And I think I am going to check, but nope, I do have a little contrasting up there at the top as well. I didn't know if I cut it flush with the paper or not. And so we're going to cut just a tiny bit away from that top edge. And this is going to be shorter than the floating pocket that's already on there. But in that case, I could either add, just a tiny bit at the bottom, and then have having it stick up a little bit farther. But I thought I would just keep it as it is, and then when it comes time to fill this, I would just make the tag longer, and so the look of it then would be sticking out up here to be even with the bigger pocket. So, but either way, I think would be perfectly fine. I was wondering myself if I should do that or not. So the back of that other pocket was yellow, and it was this paper here, and I didn't want it to be exactly the same, but I thought it would be cool to have the same color, so I have this on my back. Alright, so before we glue the backing on and I show you what to do with that, it has to have a hinge, because we're going to be flipping it back and forth, so it's going to have a hinge to make it do that. So just cut a piece of paper. It really doesn't matter the color, it will show. And so this is a darker teal, and I have the hinge is teal, and so I thought, well, that would blend in. You could certainly have it a contrasting color, or you can not worry about the color at all and just put a strip over the top when you're all done. So so we need to attach this first, and then after we do that, then we can do the rest of the pocket. All right, so I cut this about the same size as the pocket, and then what you need to do is just trim it just a smidge. Now this pocket, let me measure this for you. I think it's about an inch. Yep, it's about an inch wide. And so this is about 3/8 inch here. That will fit on our hinge in the book. And then this is 5/8, right? This would be 5/8 inch. You don't have to make it quite that big, but I thought it would be easier to work with if it were a little bit bigger. And that 5/8 inch side will be going inside the pocket, and then this is what we're going to glue. The smaller edge is what we're going to glue to the hinge that's in the book. So, but this is just a smidge too long, and so got to trim that up just a little bit. Good. Good, good, good. All right, so we're going to glue this to the inside of our pocket. Like that. That'll be the inside. And line it up with your, I forgot to say to score it. So you have a you have a scored line. And I already said about 3/8 of an inch and then 5/8 of an inch on the other side. So you'll score that so that it'll flap back and forth, right? And then you'll want to attach this hinge so it's just a smidge away from your score line. So it's going to show just a tiniest of bit, not tiniest bit, so it won't matter too much at all. But I just pulled a scrap of paper from all the matching paper that I have laying around. All right, so then we're going to glue our back to our, this is the front pocket unit now, and we're going to glue our back to it. And since I want the yellow in the back, I'm going to glue that onto my beautiful seahorse paper. And just glue the edges, because this now is making our pocket, right? So just a bit of glue. And then we'll be trimming that. So I cut it just a tiny bit bigger than the pocket. And then once again, just bring it right down to the fold, but not on the fold. Okay. All right, now, maybe have guessed it, but we're going to trim this up again. This time, I'm going to trim it even with that contrasting color that we have going on the edge. So we're going to trim her up. And then we're going to have a wavy pocket. Certainly you don't have to do the wave, but okay, and then we'll do the other side, and then we'll just trim off the top with the longer scissors. It's much easier. I just love that little seahorse. Well, there's just nothing I don't like about this paper. And actually, the two images I'm putting on these floating pockets are probably my favorite ones. Well, it's hard to say though. Those mermaids are pretty amazing too. But I just, for some reason, I just really like this one. I mean, look at how cute that is. Okay, enough of that. Trim this even with our contrasting paper, just like that. And then, going to, once again, I need to take a peek at this. Let me put this ink away before I make a mess. I need to take a peek at this to see how I did it. Okay, so you can see there that it has a thumb grab here. So I'm gonna put my hand underneath it there. So it does have a thumb grab that goes through both layers, and so I'm going to be doing that on this one as well. So here we go. I'm going to eyeball that and get it about in the middle. So I've got 3 layers, and this is notorious for not doing very well with 3 layers. So let me try this one. I think this one is a little bit stronger. So if you're looking for punches, I recommend this style more than this style for strength. Now this one is super easy in the hand, super easy to operate. And this one may be a little bit more challenging. I don't know, harder to maneuver. Maybe it's too bulky this way, but it is stronger in my opinion. But I think they're the same company. Let me look. No, yes, they're the same company, Fiskars. But I just recommend this style for strength if you're looking for just, you know, just strength. All right, so there's our nice pocket, and like I said, we're going to need to ink this. And then I'll turn this over and ink the other side as well. Giving that glue a minute to dry, but I will need to let it dry just a little bit more. But I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine. That's just my personal preference. You certainly don't have to sew it either, as long as you've got your nice strong glue on the edges. Okay, so nice and inked up now, and I am going to take this over to the sewing machine. And what I did on the other one is I just sewed wavy lines here on the edge. So I'll be back in just a minute. All right, and I think I mistakenly said I had to cut the hinge here, but we don't have to cut the hinge. These are separate pockets, and if you put them on separately and leave a space in between there, you do not have to cut the hinge, and I think I mistakenly said that. So all we're doing now is that 5/8 inch, or that 3/8 inch, sorry, little strip that we left there. We'll get glue on it, and then we'll put it right here, and it can go anywhere. I mean, as long as you just have enough room to bend these separately. Okay, so I think that's gonna work. So, yep, so you can see I have just a couple different colors of blue right here on the teal hinge, and it doesn't bother me too much. I might go ahead and put like a little strip of the seahorse or something down here. So there we have it. Some little floating pockets. We had our big envelopes. I can't wait to put tags in here and then have the silk, probably silk or the eyelash yarn or something sticking out. You know, I guess it might be handy to separate this hinge, because if you're going to have one facing one way and one going the other way, okay. I think it does make it a little awkward to not have that separated. So once again, I stand corrected. I think it would be helpful. I do. Because otherwise this is lifted up still. So, yep, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So even though I have these attached already, it's fine. I'm going to just take my scissors and sort of go straight down, and I'm going to cut that hinge, the one that's attached to the book. And I have these really strong scissors, and so that's going to help me a lot. So I'm going to hold it up. I'm going to move this over a little bit, hold it up so you can see what I'm doing. Probably make it a little bit easier for me to see anyway. Okay, and I'm just going to cut a slight V shape. And go all the way down to the score mark. Okay, and I think that should do it. That way this can go here and this can go flat. So they both can go flat, no matter which direction you're going to have them facing. All right, so I think I am going to decorate these back sides. I don't know if I necessarily have to. It still looks pretty interesting. But I might put just like a little border on the side. The pockets, I might decorate the back is what I was saying. And I don't know yet, but that will be easy enough to add. All right, and then of course I'll make something fun to stick out the top. All right, so that is, this whole side is complete, so that is perfect. And we have these two hinges left and the back. I have a good idea. Probably the next video we're going to go ahead and do the back, and then put some pages in here too. So maybe we'll get that all done. If it's not a new concept, I'll just go ahead and do that, but I'll show you what I did. But the back will be a fun flippy thing, so we'll do that together. And then we're almost done. So I am super excited that you joined me, and that I had this chance to make this gorgeous project with the beautiful Graphic 45 paper. So thank you for joining me today, and I will catch you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.